if you only watch the main show, which I would encourage you only to do that, the show starts with PCO coming down the ramp to beat up Singh. He ended up putting him through a table. He actually beat up some stage hands or whatever we call them, some extras around the ring. And then he's looking for Bully Ray. Somebody did point out on one of the discords I'm in that a lot of what PCO's character is him just walking around looking for people. He's like just kind of like he's always in a feud and they're always hiding from him, and he's always walking around screaming their name. Like that's the PCO character. I still like PCO, but I thought that was pretty funny. But Bully Ray showed up on the video screen, said he wasn't in the building, and his Impact Wrestling couldn't guarantee his safety, but he promised he would take out PCO for good. I don't know when that match is coming up, but it's coming up. Knockouts World Champion Trinity defeated Jody Threat, retained. So I think they're trying to do something with Jody Threat. They brought her in and they had her doing some squashes early on, and then here recently they had her lose to Deanna and lose to Trinity. So some would think that means that they don't like her. I think that's the opposite. That's just how they book here. That's how they see if someone's ready to move up on the cards, and so they put them against their top people in TV main events or TV matches. And I thought she looked great here. So I don't know that she's going to be a star. I just don't know that she has that charisma, but we'll see. Some people can get, more with more reps, they can get it. So we'll see. But this was a decent match. It wasn't like I don't think that anybody needs to go out of the way to watch the match, but it was fine. It's fine for what it was. Jake Something was in a pre-tape video talking about his match with Sonata at Impact Wrestling for Emergence. Good stuff. I liked this. I like what they're doing with Jake Something. I know there are people out there that think that this is a waste of Sonata. On the whole, I do agree that if you're going to bring in the IWGP champion, you should probably bring him in to go against one of your top 10 guys and have him win. Jake Something is kind of a guy that's not actively engaged in a feud. He's doing something with Dango, which is just something they're doing for TV. But I like Jake, and I think this is what they're doing is they're taking this as an opportunity to showcase one of their up and coming guys in a big time match. So I don't see it as a total waste, if that makes sense. I kind of like what they're doing here. I like this better than what AEW did with Jungle Boy, because once the match was over, it was kind of an afterthought. They just threw in Jungle Boy because they wanted they knew that they were going to do the turn. So the match that he just happened didn't even matter. But with Jake, I think that they're just going to try to have as great a match as humanly possible, and to make it look like Jake can hang with the IWGP champion, and hopefully that elevates his stock. So I think that's cool for Impact. So good stuff. And then they put up a nice graphic for Terry Funk. Terry Funk did have a TNA run. If you go to the TNA history pod, I think it's called You've Got to Be Kidding Me on the Voices of Wrestling Network and on their YouTube, they actually did a little bit of a deep dive into Terry Funk's history in TNA. They did that long before he passed away. It was just kind of, they did the segment a while back. So good stuff. Then a recap video aired about Impact and Multiverse United 2. So if you want to check out my Multiverse United 2 show, it's right here on the Patreon. So please go check that out. Good stuff there. Josh Alexander was backstage with Jim Miller and talked about his return to the ring and how after Emergence he was going to go after the World Championship. Absolutely. Diener with Khan defeated Laredo Kid. I mean, Laredo Kid was over. And I know they're doing something with Diener, but come on. They beat Laredo Kid like if I was a luchador and Impact came calling, I would block their phone number. It's like, bring me into the city where I'm the most over and beat me. Thank you, Impact. And this match was fine. It was like, I don't know. Yeah, it's whatever. They distracted Kid. Diener then hit a clothesline on Kid and got the heat. Can't say it was the best distraction spot I've ever seen, but it definitely made me laugh. I don't think that was the goal. Diener slapped Kid when the fans chanted for him. Let's go to the finish here. Kid hit a flip dive off the top rope onto the floor on Khan. Unfortunately, Khan's hand waving tactics proved effective because Kid came back into the ring and got hit with an antidote from Diener for the win. Diener grabbed the mic and the fans chanted, "Please don't talk." I agree with the fans. Diener said some weird stuff about being, this is from Josiah, weird stuff about Young being the designer, and Diener put a knife in his heart, but he rose again to finish his story. Diener claimed that Young was no longer the author of the story and that he was in control. And so yeah, they're going to be doing a no DQ match on Sunday. So there you go. Johnny Swinger made a hype video for his digital media championship match in Emergence. It was edited poorly. It was awful. It was terrible, and it was awesome all at the same time. It was purposely bad. There was a little spot there in the bottom right corner of it showing like an AOL message from Dave Meltzer to Swinger saying, "Hey man, you got any scoops?" I thought that was pretty funny. Next, we got the Ace and Bay Connection, or Ace and Bay Club, whatever they want to call them. They defeated the Good Hands, John Schuyler and Jason Hotch. The Good Hands doing exactly what they are designed to do: make the baby faces look good in a loss. They are losers. That's what they do. But they did a good job of it, so I got to give them credit. They looked great being total losers. So good for them. I thought this was a pretty damn good match. Hotch and Schuyler hit the favor on Austin, but Bay managed to break it up. ABC hit the fold soon thereafter, and the Good Hands gave a run for the money. But and Josiah says this was excellent. I agree. Excellent stuff. Hotch and Schuyler. If Schuyler could get himself into shape and they can shed that name, the Good Hands, if they take like if they wanted to do something with these guys, and I know there's a core group of people, like I know Gerard really likes this is his favorite tag team. I think he has a Good Hands shirt. And he goes to all the shows carrying Good Hands signs and stuff like that. And I think that if they wanted to do something with them, they would have to send them away for like 2 months. Send them to like, I don't know, Noah or something like that. Send them somewhere. Send them away for 2 months. Give them a different gimmick. Give them a different name. Bring them back. You might be able to do something with them, but unfortunately, like this is what they are. They lose matches, and they're good at it. So good for them. If you're a decent wrestler and you're willing to lose a lot, you can have low money the rest of your career. You could probably get the bills paid. So cool. Good for them. Subculture had a pre-tape video where they talked about how they were going to prove their supremacy at Emergence, continuing their Impact tag teams out of reign. So there you go. And then a cinematic movie trailer aired for a buddy cop movie for Joe Hendry and Yuya Uemura. I like what they're doing with Hendry and Uemura, and doing a trailer for them becoming a tag team. Is Hendry ever going to get that rematch for the digital media title, or have they just completely moved off of that? I don't know. It's so weird. They just kind of forgot that he was once that champion, and Kenny King's already moved on. Typically, the champion wants his rematch, unless he just completely, unless he moves up, right? When they have like a smaller title and they lose it, unless they're moving up to the next level, they typically would get a rematch. But this is weird. Sorry, guys, it's early. Swig of coffee for the working man. So here was the match of the night. Chris Sabin defeating Samuray del Sol. He was Kalisto in the WWE. I think this is a guy that they should probably keep around. I know they only brought him in because he's a luchador, and they like to bring in luchadors to Chicago because luchadors are over. However, Chicago fans are going to catch on eventually, and they're going to be reminded that every time you guys come into Chicago and you bring luchadors, you make them lose. You don't put the guys they put over Bandito one time, but he was only beating other Mexicans. He wasn't beating anybody on the roster, right? And so I think eventually these people are going to catch on to your games here, Impact. They're not that stupid. I know I've caught on, but I'm not from Chicago either. I'm not going to these shows, but I could see right through you, you bastards. But great match, great debut for Del Sol. I would like to see them keep Del Sol around. I think he is like a level above Laredo Kid. I really do. I think that he could be something for them. He's got that WWE main roster worldwide experience. He's a little bit more of a famous guy. He's just somebody that they probably should covet. We'll go to the finishers. Saban went to pick up Soul. Soul managed to hit a Salina del Sol. He's got to change the name of that that move. By the way, it's too confusing with his name. As Saban was lifting him up, but Saban rolled to the floor. Soul managed to slingshot himself over the top rope, land on the middle rope, and launched into a springboard flip on a Saban on the floor. Soul went for attack off the top rope, but Saban rolled under Del Sol, landed on the shoulder, allowing Saban to recover and hit the cradle shock for the pinfall. So good stuff. And then Crazy Steve finished his sit-down interview series with Tom Hannafin, and I strongly urge you guys to go ahead and seek this out. I thought it was really good stuff. If it comes across like he completely ripped off the 1997 Mankind interview series with Jim Ross, I think that was by design, and I thought it worked to perfection. I don't know if it'll actually go anywhere. I don't know if they'll do anything, but this appears to be them trying to turn Crazy Steve heel. Steve said that he was going to become a plague if he couldn't get the antidote to evil, and he screamed for Tom that Tom was going to tell everyone his message. Security tried to separate it from Tom, so Steve attacked them and said he was going to be the psychopath in everyone's story. I dug this. I just don't know where they go from here, so I'm interested to see what they try to do. I don't know if it's going to work, but you got to take chances sometimes, and I'm happy that they're taking a chance. Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich cut a promo about how they were going to take on all comers at Emergence. Great. Thank you for that. All right. Hype video aired for Eddie Edwards and Frankie Kazarian for a lot of hype videos on this show for their upcoming fight at Killer Kowalski's school. And then obviously PCO continues just walking around. He's like one of those trees in Lord of the Rings where all he does is walk. He's just walking around. PCO just always wandering around aimlessly, screaming at somebody. He found a place where Ray was sitting for his promo, screaming for Ray to fight him, but he was nowhere to be found. Yeah, poor PCO. And then we get to the main event. Alex Shelley defeated Brian Myers. Look, I had no interest in this match. Because it's like one of those things like where the outcome before that even gets booked, but that's a lot of matches, and that's not always a bad thing. I just don't think that Myers had any business being in a world title match because Brian Myers also he's a loser, right? Like I'm sure he's a good person, and he's actually pretty good in the ring. Like he can work, but what he is a loser, and that's what he does. He loses matches, and good for him. He's good at it. And this match was very good. It really was, and the crowd did a great job. There was one dipshit in the crowd. I don't know who it was. I hope it wasn't Andre. Bro, I hope that wasn't you. But there was one dipshit in the crowd chanting for Myers, but everybody else was chanting for Shelley. But it was a really good match, and the Chicago crowd was into it. They were into everything. Myers managed to drive Shelley into the apron and got some heat on Shelley, and they got the crowd into a comeback by Shelley that saw him almost get the Border City stretch in, but Myers managed to find out, hit a spear for a 2 count. Myers went for a second spear, ate a super kick, and a sliced bread number 2 for a 2 count. And Shelley immediately transitioned into the Border City stretch for the submission. The crowd was on fire for this one. Good stuff. Great main event. After the match, because hey, we got to promote not a pay-per-view, but a premium event coming up. Bully Ray ran in and attacked Shelley, and then Moose joined in as well. Apparently, Ray lured PCO to the hotel so he could come to the Impact Zone to attack Shelley without his interference. Alexander Kushida ran down, but soon fell to larger numbers, and we saw Chris Sabin laid out backstage by Leo Rush, so he couldn't make the save. Fans were chanting PCO as Ray continued to beat on him, biting him and gouging his eyes. Alexander fired up, turned around, stomped on Ray, and suddenly the babyfaces were fighting back in equal brawl as the show went off the air, so they're promoting the big match. Good go home episode. I dug this. I thought it was a good show this week. A lot of video packages. Not a ton of news, nothing really juicy for us to get into, but still a good go home show nonetheless. And I think where they go with Crazy Steve is going to be very interesting. He did a great job in this interview series. He is a quality performer. The guy can have good matches, so I'm curious to see if they can repackage him to do something. And it looks like they might be turning him heel, which, after all of the heart wrenching things that he said, you know, naturally you would probably want to go babyface, but I can see why they are turning that into a heel, because even heels, they typically feel justified in their actions. And because of all the bad things that are happened to him in his life, he now feels like he's going to go do bad things to other people. He feels justified. Um, that makes sense. Like that, a lot of evil people think like that. So, in the real world, so maybe that's where they're going, and so I'm going to be curious to see how that plays out.